Hi, welcome to Video Games Revisited. Today we're going to be playing Mousetrap on the Atari 2600. Now this is another port of a Atari arcade game, and whilst it's a little bit stripped down compared to the arcade version in respect of the hawk, bonus prize, a reduced amount of cats, and all of the doors moving at once, it's fairly faithful to the original. My little list of differences makes it sound a lot worse than it is, and most importantly, these absences don't really affect the spirit of the gameplay at all. Your first impression of this game may be that it is simply just a Pac-Man clone, and granted at its heart it is Pac-Man. You clear levels by eating up all of the lumps of cheese, your score's totaled up, and then you move on to the next stage, in which all of the cheese is replaced and you can continue to rack up points. Most of the differences are purely aesthetic, as Pac-Man has been replaced with a mouse, the ghosts have been replaced with cats, the dots have been replaced with lumps of cheese, and the power pills have been replaced with a bone that turns you into a dog. However, there are a few innovative developments that make it a competent game in its own right. The most obvious one that affects the gameplay the most is the trapdoors that are placed at certain places around the map. Now if you find yourself cornered, or if it's better for you to do so, you can just hold down the fire button and these trapdoors will switch, completely changing the map and meaning you can get yourself out of some pretty tight situations. This ability to trap and reroute cats isn't enough for you to survive, so like Pac-Man, there's an item that can be eaten to help you openly attack these enemies. In Mousetrap, it's a bone, but unlike Pac-Man, this bone isn't used instantly once you've eaten it. Instead, it can be used at will and will turn you into a dog for a few seconds, allowing you to instantly take down any cats that you touch. Now this may seem like a small and fairly insignificant difference, but it really does affect the gameplay, as instead of planning your route to make the most of the position of these power pills, you can instead use the trapdoors I've mentioned to survive as best as you can, pick up everything in your path, and then if worst comes to worst, use the bone to take down any cats that are too close for your liking. However, the using of these bones isn't massively responsive, and if you just try and mash the fire button to activate the bone at the very last second, you'll find yourself dying a lot. Instead, I find it's best to use them strategically, and most importantly, plan when you're going to use them, instead of just relying upon your reflexes. Other than this, my only real complaint is the cats have a tendency to sit on the sideline away from the map, which while I'm grateful they're not always present, I find far too often I'll just be travelling down a corridor near them and they'll jump out on me without giving me enough time to respond, which is a pretty unfair and cheap way to die. In summary, whilst Mousetrap is Pac-Man at heart, it's a fantastic example of a game who takes these conventions, tweaks and builds upon them, and in the end comes up with a game that's worthwhile playing. But that's all for today. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you next time. Take care.